Good evening, everyone. System Shock here with the 153rd episode of Book of Hours, playing as the artist, and we're on to spring. So I kind of overdid it a little bit on the last broadcast, but we're more or less ready to go here. We've got Mrs. Kill. She'll be supplying us hopefully with a few Grail or Scale memories. But honestly, we don't need that many. The big question right now is more about how many lessons I'm going to get out of the book. We've got 47 seconds before that's finished. And as I said earlier, I'm not really sure what I want to do with my Elements of the Soul today. You'll notice in my own playthroughs, I probably spend a bit more time planning out the day than in other cases. And that's just because, like the Twitch playthrough that I did, I've been a little stingy. I was actually more stingy on the YouTube playthrough, but I've been pretty stingy with the Tree of Wisdoms in terms of committing the various skills to the branches. And what that translates into, in a practical sense, is I can do less in a day. So it does mean that, for my own part, I spend a little bit more time planning out the day than than what might be representative for a more traditional playthrough. But it does mean that when we get to the Tree of Wisdoms, we're actually going to have a bunch of lore to take a look at, which I think will be kind of fun. Okay, MCO Constance Lee is on her way. Connie has risen swiftly in the Suppression Bureau to the exalted rank of Constable Oculate Minor. Don't get in her way. So this is about the affair of the messenger's casket. In a hidden fold of the mountains above the city of Cluj lies the enigmatic relic called St. Mihail's coffin. Decades of patient work have finally breached its outer shell. So Nock and Moon characters, and in this case, we should be prepared for Moon. Okay, the Key of Night, the deliberations leading to a manifesto of the Worms of a Scale, as recorded around 1900 in the bar Vienna, in the cellar of the Hotel Ciervo in Noon. The Worms, all of whom use grandiose nom de guerre, like Citizen Knife and the Midnight Pilgrim, agree that all previous iterations of their movement have been feckless and treacherous, and agree that the return of the pre-human hours, the gods from stone, is the true way to end the tyranny of eternity. This is an option in this game, by the way. The Worms identify the Wheel, the Tide, the Flint, Sulochana, the Spider Door, the Excellency Nathobasis, the Wickel Indistinguishable as the 7 necessary pentiments that must be returned to every history through the propaganda of the deed. This is an eccentric list and clearly a compromise. The process of thrashing it out clearly exhausts all the participants who don't specify the necessary deed beyond a vague reference to the loopholes. So for this we get fear. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. And 1 Pentiments and Precursor lesson. So really, if I wanted, I could actually use the Sun's weakness, and we will already be able to lock this in. So what I should do now is actually plan out the rest of my day accordingly. So first of all, let's shelve that fear. It should be on this shelf. And I might as well use the Arab for Pentiments and Precursors, but let's actually take a minute to see where we go with the rest of this. Now, just in terms of the overall plans for the day, it doesn't hurt to just take a minute here and see what some of my other alternatives are. So one of them is to finish reading the books. And I'm most inclined towards this because ultimately reading the books allows me to improve my skills. Improving my skills will either allow me to take on more books, self-reinforcing, or it will allow me to build or craft new items, which will help me with the other goals. So what are the other goals? Well, the most obvious other goal would be to open up some of these rooms. So we've got the Perilous Path. This route was never safe, even before the last round of storms had their way with it. This will require Moon or Rose. We've got the Honeyed Forbidding. The air is thick with the sense of honey and yewberries, enough to daze the heart and mind. So heart or nectar in this case. And then we have the Crystallized Chamber. The path is blocked by shining surfaces like curdled light. Dark shapes shift beneath. We can tap away the crystal if we're careful, but we must be careful. So that one requires Rose or Winter. And of course, Winter is easiest to get from Mr. Kill, so we might want to bring him in on the next day. We also could try the flooded level, so gleaming black water still as bone. I'll need to find some way to lower the water level before I can descend. And this requires something that we haven't really encountered before, which is a circumstance with either 3 forge or 3 knock. And, I mean, this doesn't exactly take, this doesn't take a scholar to sort of figure out, right? We've got the pumps, the upper level pumps. The Curia installed these pumps to drain the lower levels, but they installed them in the late 19th century. I'll need to provide suitable materials and fuel, and I'll need apprentice level of forge to jury rig them. So not too hard for us to get it all, but I do actually need to put some effort into opening this stuff up. So again, all of these are viable options for me, but opening up the rooms is another example of something that I can do. And then finally, there is the search for additional secrets of the house. So I believe we found one in the chancel. I'm actually going to be a little sneaky here and double check. Yes, we did find that. Or was the sickle an eclipse? Anyways, I'm like near certain we got that one. I'm actually trying to remember. We got one from the inscribed stone. This one actually took quite a bit for me. I think I actually found the clue for this one I think I found the clue for this in this playthrough and then did it on my Twitch playthrough. Because this is one that I was actually sitting on for a while. And then there was another one that I got. Oh, actually, I think towards a fundamental aesthetic we just got because we opened up one of these upper rooms. But in any case, there are definitely a couple of other places where we can find secrets of the house, and in fact, we've read a couple books that indicate the next one for us to get. I'm pretty confident I know most of the locations for the texts. I have a feeling that there is at least one, possibly more, that I haven't seen yet. But I will... Again, one of the things that's kind of nice about this is to just leave it for the time, like leave it for cases where we have knowledge in the game of where to put something. So for instance, I know where to put Fraser Strathcoin, but I haven't actually seen anything that tells us where Fraser should go. Actually, oddly enough, this shouldn't be difficult for me because there's actually only one more spot left. A niche with a plaque who died not but passed within. So yeah, we've got Hendrik de Wolf, we've got Thomas de Wolf, Walter de Wolf, Gideon de Wolf, Musgrave de Wolf, Valentine, Ava, Ambrose Westcott, Solomon Husher, Kitty Mazarine. Who could this be? Natalia Brulot, Willem Harries, Thirza Blake, Sir David Green. I don't think I did this in proper order, incidentally. Brian Levinson, Serena Blackwood, Gervenius Van Loren, our predecessor. So, unless I'm Fraser Strathcoin, which would actually be a hell of a reveal in terms of the in terms of the busts, he goes here. So, oh, that's interesting. I always thought you needed to put something here. So, curate the busts. So there you go. Now we can actually learn a little bit more. So the way I originally found out where to put Fraser was based off of the like considering his bust, and there is a bit of a story that you get about all the different characters. So we'll probably do that when we have a little bit more free time. But I definitely have other things that I want to do over the course of the day. So I still think, all things being equal, I would prefer to, I'd kind of prefer to get the backlog of books dealt with. Connie Lee doesn't have a language that we need, so I'm going to have to settle for earning some more money. Scar in the Sky is a 14 winter text. So the big question for me right now, is there a sneaky way that I can do this without giving up the Wormwood Dream? Like, if I have to... Oh, actually, first of all, I've used up my Whist foolishly. So this uses Fusine. So is Inks of Containment really my highest winter? Guess it is. So yeah, I really do need to use the Wormwood Dream in this case. Okay, that's good to know. So our alternative would be a novel method of invocation and contrition. I don't think Ericapaean has Rose. No, it's Winter. So for that, we would use the Preliminal Meter and Fet. So that gives us 11. I can get 12 with the Globe. Okay, that's not difficult at all for me to handle. I will actually work on that right now. Yeah, I'll just grab a rumor from Mrs. Kill. Or, sorry, not a gossip. I might get a gossip from Mrs. Kill, but I'll actually just grab it from here. So we could read The Humors of a Gentleman, Dreams of Conspiracy. I think I'll do Humors of a Gentleman. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. Okay, so let's take a minute here. It's going to be a higher level Rose text. Oh, actually, Preliminal Meter's already been taken care of. So that's a knock and a Rose. I'm slightly inclined towards improving Inks of Power, although Horns and Ivories has its own... I believe Horns and Ivories was something that I was trying to level up for other reasons. But I do rather like the idea of leveling up the ink ones. And I'm actually creating a bit of a problem for myself doing that, because I imagine it's going to be difficult for me to generate Rose and Scale. So let's... Okay, I wasn't planning on doing this much planning, but let's actually get... let's get a game plan. So Impulse doesn't help us, Satisfaction doesn't help us, and Revelation doesn't help us. Secret Thresholds, I think, had the Rose. Bittersweet Certainty and Foresight does not. Foresight, well, we just said doesn't. Regret does because it's got... No, sorry, Regret is Forge and Winter, but Hindsight gives us Scale. Intuition is Rose, so that does help. Gossip is Rose. This actually is going to be easier than I thought. Fear gives us Scale. Beguiling Melodies doesn't help. Contradiction is Edge and Moon. Storm, Heart, and Sky. Salt, Knock, Winter, and Moon. Pattern is Knock and Forge. Solace, Heart, and Sky. Earth Sign gives us Scale. Savage Hymns gives us Scale. This is actually much easier to level up than I thought. Cheerful Ditties, Heart and Sky. Confounding Parables gives us Rose. And Stolen Secret, I can never remember. I think it's Knock and Moon. Anyway, I don't think that helps us. Anyway, clearly we have far more than I know what to do with here. So no obvious use for Sun's weakness right now. But I think we could probably use it with the white jade tablet. So I'll put that one next on the list. Yeah, I'll be patient on this. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. Tuppence will buy me a hearty meal and a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. It is spring, and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie, with the pilgard heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. Beautiful. All right, there it is in Camino Tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. So I would be tempted to just help out Connie Lee right away here. I'm going to resist that temptation simply because I may actually want some of the other memories that Mrs. Kill can generate for me. So another fruit plucked from knowledge's tree. Mrs. Kill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. So just as well that I got the gossip. I mean, there may be one that we get from Mrs. Kill right now, which would be quite funny, but unlikely, let's say. I did hear a click, but it doesn't seem to be anything related to us. But yeah, I'm not expecting miracles in terms of what we can pull off, but I should be able to... Okay, another satisfaction. Okay. Feats and fates of forgotten things. The Carapace cross, the line of Antaios, the world of a low red sun. Though much is taken, much abides. The Humours of a Gentleman, Samuel Savage's satirical comedy on the intrigues of the ailing but cunning John's son, his mistress Mavelyn, her lover Leo, and the upstart Corvino. By the end of the first act, Mavelyn has revealed a secret door in the walls of the house to Leo, and Corvino has taken to consuming worms. The play is scabrous and occasionally hilarious. The characters are contrary and capricious. Many of the more resonant lines might well be formula of power disguised in plain sight. So there's the gossip that we wanted. Let's make this work. So there's a vagabond desk. We will take a novel method for invocation and contrition. Here's Ericapean, a language of surpassing beauty and elusiveness revealed through the ecstatic apprehensions of the Orphics, the Eleusinians, and the Sibyls of the Rhine. Ericapean, these mystics claimed, allows the elaboration of hues, sensations, and states of mind too subtle for grosser tongues. Some books are to be tasted, some to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. So there's the FET, here's the preliminary meter, and we are one short, yes. So here we apply the lunar globe. Journey's end, I can master this mystery. So that's 2 minutes. We're more or less using up the day with this. So let's think a little bit about how I'm going to get my Inks of Power. I'll set aside 1 FET for the upgrade. So we'll start with the unhatched hymns. That requires Sabazine. That's Crack Track. Confounding Parable will also be a pretty straightforward one for us to use. I can never remember which one we finished. We did It Is Written. I don't think we've done the Snare of the Tree recently, so we'll use that one. I guess Secret Thresholds is really the only one that I don't currently, or I can't currently get from Mrs. Kill. We should probably use the Tryst first. So I might sit on the rest until I know exactly how the day's shaping up. Better now. I guess it doesn't really matter if I'm using the list at this point. I could offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There's no school in Brandkrug, and not everyone here knows their letters. Okay, there's a regret. I'll probably have to take stock just to make sure. I guess we've got 1, 2, 3 of the 5 memories we need. So I actually have a surplus in terms of elements of the soul. I'm sure I can find something useful to do with them. Might even be well, I've already used the Tryst, so I was going to say maybe it's an idea for me to read the White Jade Tablet right now, but I can save that for another time. Okay. Unhatched hymns. Hymns attributed to Saint Lucia the Eyeless, patron of glassworkers and name of the hour called Meniscate. The hymns venerate every sanctioned hour, celebrating them as the sun undivided, but also suggesting that each hour may become the next, madrigad to watchman, watchman to wolf, and so on. The hymn of the phases celebrates the Meniscate from whom we do not turn, for the truth which is beauty, the beauty which is truth, and the perfect balance between the two. The hymn of the reflections, more puzzlingly, celebrates the Meniscate as sister of Janus, mother of shadow, whose visage wondrous in emptiness can reveal all truths. Savage hymn, music that urges valor and violence. Snare of the Tree collected proverbs of Aunt Mopsy. Once in the wood we call a visit, twice in the wood we call a journey, thrice we call coming home. Every timber has its knots, the straight and the crooked both. Every weave is more absence than thread. You can't keep nowhere out any more than you can keep somewhere in. When the cuckoo learns the nightingale's song, our sleep is sweeter than honey. An Almanac of Entrances, a handbook of sealed and unsealed byways and shortcuts through the bounds, compiled by Willem Harries in the 1860s during his term as librarian of Hush House. Harries discusses the role played by the Legion de Soul and the Company of the Wolf and Gold in warding the bounds against outside influences. He warns that bounds travelers may themselves be considered outside influences. The Mansis' Ys lacks walls. Ys and the Mansis both have their gates, and there may be no gate without a wall. Thus the paradox resolves, as those who walk in the dream will learn. But the wood has neither gate nor wall, and so it is the wood whose roots may creep after us into the hours of our waking. Okay. So 3 of the 5 that I required, but the remainder, so just a reminder, I'm looking for either hindsight, intuition, gossip, fear, and that's it, actually. I've already got the earth sign. So 4 potential memories, but all of which can come from Mrs. Kill. So the Fett needs to move down here because I'm going to use that to level up Inks of Power. But there is a question about how I'm using the remaining elements of the soul, so let's not waste them. I don't have too many options here, so let's use the heart with core. Why do I keep thinking that's a grail one? Or a heart one, rather. The gorse is bright on the land's nape. Okay, an afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers to the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. Okay, regret doesn't really do that much for me here. Again, I'm not too torn up about this. The only thing I'm really missing out on are some chances here to use these elements of the soul to craft things. In fact, there is one thing I wanted to try. So if I used Lockworks and Clockworks... Ooh, this is going to be a little tougher than I thought. Does this have a knock? It does. Okay, so if I take the Shaft, if I take Lockworks and Clockworks... Yeah, so Gervanite with... Okay, so if I take an Amethyst Ampule, now technically I can actually throw a second one in. Ooh, interesting. Okay. It feels a little wasteful here, but it's not that hard for me to generate more Amethyst Ampules, so let's make a Gervanite. Resolve and Knock Alloy. Lockworks and Clockworks with Scholar level Knock plus Glass creates Gervanite. I wonder if I've got another Amethyst Ampule. Yep, got one sitting right there. Alright, very welcome gossip. So even, like, if I want, I can just use this earth sign to level up. Trying to remember here. Okay, so I'm restoring the Whist. So I'm thinking maybe if I take the Forge... It's a tricky one. Okay, that gets me a secret threshold. I'm looking to see if I can make another Amethyst Ampule. I should probably be a little more thoughtful about it. I don't think Great Signs and Great Scar. Maybe Glass Blowing and Vessel Crafting. Yeah. Yeah, let's make one of those. Shape, Tint, and Fill a Paradoxical Knock Ampule. So the reason I felt safe doing that is because I'll have the Whist available. A novel method for invocation and contrition, ingenious and rather beautiful techniques for entreating the names of the hours, developed by Roy Morrow, who styled himself the Sage Knight. The techniques rely on the unique qualities of the Arecapean tongue. Morrow professes himself surprised that they serve better to entreat the names of the vagabond than the names of lantern or winter hours. Morrow demonstrates that preliminal meter techniques can be used with sufficient rows to invoke the vagabond's names, transforming an enduring reflection into something wider of sky. So there's a confounding parable for us. 2 preliminal meter lessons. So we can actually start moving the Inks of Power up. That'll eventually become a 7. So... So yeah, this won't be that hard for me to sort out. I'll give Mrs. Kill one more shot to generate a memory. Again, I am going to need to help out MCO Constance Lee before the end of the day. Better now. All right, Solace doesn't do much for me. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to use the Earth sign right away. So there's the Inks of Power. At last, I am something of an authority in this. Improve your skill to level 6, and then the simple answer here is just to read either Dirashi Quilcrum or Wrapped in the King and get the Earth sign. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. So let's talk with MCO Connie Lee. Librarian, I am here on bureau business. Why does everyone always want to open everything? Try this book with try a book with as much mystery moon as their moon interest. So that's a level 3 moon interest, so let's try and find a simple moon text, if I can. Okay, Viennese Conundrum it is. The Bureau can't get involved that far east, and the locals haven't requested our help, but something smells familiar about this one. I want to be ready if it comes west. Something that carries fire in darkness, something that can leave a place it never entered, something that no one will let alone. That sounds like a name of the Chandler. These things shouldn't even exist. And now, this year, I've heard of 2 at least. Keep this between us, librarian. Thank you. Okay, so that's it for the day. I think we've got a pretty clear idea in terms of how tomorrow's work is going to go. In fact, what I might do, I might actually start work with the White Jade tablet, seeing as unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. Now, I really should deal with the all the crap I've got in my pockets, but let's put these on the shelf. Oh, not enough space. Not enough space anywhere. But yeah, I think I'm comfortable enough in terms of what we can do with Inks of Power that I can start reading the White Jade tablet, and we'll have that ready for the end of the day. The inks in which the histories were written. So yeah, we'll leave a FET aside. We'll generate the easy to make ones. It has its uses, but none of them are simple and few are safe. Amethyst ampule, were it released from the glass, it would be quite another color. Alright, and here's the Gervanite, an alloy equivalent in some respects to the clockmaker's Invar, but instead of a constant weight, it retains the same origin in every history. So I figured I might as well make a couple of these. It just makes it easier to put some metal in. Obviously that I'll have a little more to say on that tomorrow. But yeah, so I'm thinking maybe before... Yeah, so at the start of the day, we'll take care of the White Jade tablet. Now that is going to use Rites of the Roots. That's actually going to take quite a bit of effort for me to level up, given that it requires Moth and Nectar. That's maybe why I was holding off on leveling it up. But I might as well do it here. Like, we're early enough in terms of spring to be able to get the work done. And you maybe, I'm sure there's a few of you who might have noticed that so it's not maybe a coincidence that I'm starting to try and generate the Gervinite. You can kind of see that I'm maybe starting to make some gestures towards finishing my work down below here as well. So I figured I might as well get prepared for that. But again, we still have a few more books that we can read. I don't want to get too wrapped up in future plans. But anyways, speaking of future plans, that's all for tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day or evening, whatever time it is you happen to be watching this, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.